We're doing some really cool things at the moment.
So what do you guys have on the go at the minute? Like, what's your main projects you're working on?
We're working
research.
We're working towards an upload of our data set to the Atlas of Living Australia.
Okay.
So that Atlas of Living Australia is where all scientists, all community go to find out about what lives where.
Yeah.
And we've got probably 90,000 records up at the moment, but this next upload will break 100,000.
Oh, wow.
But also the quality of the data that's going up will be greatly enhanced. So,
totally. That's
and also,
exciting.
and we're trying to get high-res images up now. One of the things is we identify these crazy animals, but when you go into this Atlas of Living Australia, there might be some in-field photos, fuzzy photos, low-res photos.
Yeah.
We're going to bust that mould. What we're doing here is there's an insect pinned. It's registered, so we know what it is, where it came from, who collected it.
Yep.
It's in our database. That setup there is taking 80 photos through 8 millimetres.
Why 80? What's the...
Well, to get one really crisp photo, you ask the computer to take the 80 photos and smash it into one.
Okay.
And so I've got this.
Oh, wow, okay.
And so here in the background, this software here has grabbed all of the images and smashed out that single really cool,
incredible.
crisp
I
image.
didn't realise that. And how often do you have to do this method of photography taking? Is that...
Well, we're at this sort of tipping point now with this upload to ALA happening in August. We're just trying to smash out as many of these as we can. And so this just happens in the background of whatever else we're doing. I've just got to show you some of how cool some of these look. This has gone like fully sick. Like, look at this. This is 100 photos.
That is insane.
This is one of Tassie's biggest predatory beetles. It's only, whatever, 20 an inch long, say. They live in the sand dunes. And look at those mandibles.
That is, look at the little choppers. Wow.
Yeah. And then...
they're so crazy when you get to see them up close.
This beautiful patterning.
Amazing, look at that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
And something like maybe this one. This looks like leather.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what we're actually toying with is finding somebody that works in leather.
It looks like stitching.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right. Let's go and find somewhere to hang out.
First of all, is this a snake?
Well, it's a genuine imitation. It's fiberglass. It's been with us for a while. We're doing a loan out to a museum in Ulverston.
Okay. Yep.
So they've asked there's lots of boxes of packed stuff now, but they come in and it's not, I wouldn't say it's like a shopping spree, but they've got a bit of a wish list and we can go through it and see what's realistic about being loaned out. They can't have everything. I mean, you know, they can ask for a thylacine, but they're not going to get a thylacine. But, you know, when it comes to corals or dinosaurs or such, we've got stuff that can be...
Absolutely. Do you do that often, like sharing, loaning out to museums?
Not so much. That's more of like a props department thing.
Okay.
What we do is loan out insects like this. You say we recently had a young lady from the insect collection in Canberra come down.
Oh, wow.
She works on a very narrow part of the wasp range, and she did some work here, and then she also asked what she could take away, and we package up it's like a little care bag, and she can take it in her hand luggage. And,
Amazing.
and so she takes that back with her, and she works out what they are. She uses a contacts as well to make sure it's all okie dokie. We get back identified material, but she also gets a data set that helps.
Absolutely.
And new species. Place is full of new species, but what we don't have is enough taxonomists working on these cool animals.
Do we have many of them in Tasmania?
What, cool animals or taxonomists?
Taxonomists.
Not enough.
Not enough?
No, in fact, our Spider-Man, John Douglas, he's got an international network now.
Really?
Because, he found a guy in Brazil working on a particular group of Tasmanian spiders. Now, why he would be... but he was integral to identifying some new species. And in fact, we've got a couple of thousand specimens from up at Stony Head Military Range because we went and did a bush blitz up there. And spiders are a real point of difference for QVMAG. It's one of our specialities. And so we've focused heavily on that. And the way we collected them was to park a diesel ute, just running, and as it idles, within 5 minutes, every spider that's within a kilometre is walking towards you.
Why that?
It's just something to do with vibrations. But
That is so strange.
yeah,
Kind of scary to think
yeah.
that. Next
And
time
so
I'm camping, cars off.
Yeah. But we're just scurrying around, just collecting little spiders in vials, and he's got new genus, lots of new species.
Wow. Yeah.
Probably in the order of every fourth spider has not been described yet.
Wow.
Here we are in our dry vertebrate collection. And you asked what our speciality is. Well, back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, the Curator R.H. Green, he put together basically the world's largest collection of Tasmanian birds and mammals. And it sort of makes sense because we're here in Tassie, but we're not the state agency. We're Launceston's community museum, yet we've got the world's best collection. We have historic strengths in these birds and mammals. There's just so many through the place. And we still get people come through. These guys here, the owls, we just had a visiting scientist come down to look at these again.
That's incredible.
So these are like a library of DNA, or there's a lot you can tell from the plumage.
Okay,
Yeah. So
Dumb question. Plumage. What's plumage?
The feathers, the colours,
Amazing.
patterns. Right? But also the distribution. Every one of these animals has got information on where and when it was collected.
Wow.
And so that locks that species in place and time. And so people can come through and see where these things lived, say in the 70s, and see whether they're still there now. And so we can track changes in distributions. So this Curator here, Green, was really big in marsupials and birds, but then we've had a guy, he was right into worms. Now we've got this huge collection of earthworm. Funny enough, we don't get a lot of researchers looking at earthworms, but we've got a big collection. And then we had another Curator that was into molluscs. So we've got like 24,000 shells from around the planet.
Wow.
And now though, instead of having all of these little taxonomic hotspots through time, what we're trying to do now is give the museum a long-term direction, and that is around spiders and insects, because you can't go out and collect these things. We used to, this guy had a shotgun and a rifle, but we don't do that anymore.
Of course,
but what we can tell from, for biodiversity, we can tell a lot from down in the food chain, down in the insects and spiders. And there's, as we've already said, there's heaps of species to discover. So we're setting up now an opportunity for QVMAG to have a continuing strength in insects and spiders well into the future.
Absolutely.
There's other benefits, like these take up a lot of room. Insects and spiders are easy, small, compact to store. So there's just pluses for it. Yeah.
So is there any maintenance required with keeping all of the collection like this? Do you guys have to do any? What does that look like?
Well, these things are all right. These are lower maintenance. It's mainly around checking for pests.
Okay. Yeah.
But where we've got, say, an ethanol collection, so it's all we have animals pickled in ethanol. That evaporates over time, and so it's important that once or twice a year, pretty much every jar gets checked to top up. And so that'd be
quite a task.
Yeah. Well. I don't know how many jars there are. And vats. We've got vats full of. So we go through around 800 litres of ethanol every 2 or 3 years.
Wow.
Just to keep. Other maintenance around the place. We still use the old mothballs in the insect collection.
Okay.
It's still the best way to keep insects, because you don't want insects getting in your insect collection.
Exactly.
That'd be bad.
That'd be horrendous. What's this one? Is this a dolphin?
Yeah, so this is the, what we call it the gorge dolphin. Probably, it'd be 1910 or thereabouts, a dolphin came up into the gorge, and the community came out to see it. Yeah, but then of course in those days they killed it. And then the curator at the time, he took it up onto the roof of the Royal Park Art Gallery. He used to live upstairs in the attic, and he put that out next to the clothesline and let nature do its thing.
No way! Was that common practice?
Yeah, well, you had to deflesh it somehow. Supposedly out here in Royal Park, the rumour is there's an elephant buried.
No,
I'll just tell you the rumours, because you have to get the flesh off it somehow.
Oh my God! So, maybe we need to have a little dig and see.
And then, what does a wombat look like? There you go.
That is crazy.
And then the original curator, H.H. Scott, he was right into comparative anatomy.
Yeah.
So here he's got a wombat skeleton and he's actually teased out every little bone.
That is crazy. What's this little one up here? Is that like
a dingo?
A dingo?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then, come on, how's your anatomy?
Platypus?
Yeah.
Yay! That is crazy.
And then...
Okay, oof.
Starts with...
echidna?
Yeah.
Oh, this is kind of crazy. I'm picking that.
So the thing with these is, although a lot of our work focuses on serving like research needs, because we're part of the Australian collection of natural history. We work with all the big museums, but we also have an education role in what we do. So these come out for science weeks and
they're pretty
classes.
amazing. Are these fish?
Yeah, this is an elephant fish, but this guy dates back to pre-1897.
Oh my goodness!
He was one of the first objects in the collections.
What?
So in
one of the first.
Yeah. We got.
Oh wow!
There's a lot of old fish. There was a lot of interest in fish.
A puffer fish?
Yeah.
That's
pretty
amazing.
old.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So for me, and I've got a fishy background, so I love my crazy fish.
That's incredible.
And just the age, and there's a fair amount of artistic license in how that's been stuffed. And it's still an elephant fish.
And what's this skull down here?
That's a hippopotamus skull. So
no.
Yeah, and if we've got a pygmy hippo out here as well.
God.
So, why do we have it? I don't know.
But we've got it. That's amazing.
I mean, the role of the museum has changed through time as well. Back when it first opened, you didn't have David Attenborough on telly twice a week telling you what lived on the other side of the planet. Yes, but now the role's changed. It's more about telling the community about their local environment or their own history. Yeah. So there's a real change in how collections are built.
Now, I saw a tiger head out here before.
Yep.
Can you tell me about that? That's pretty crazy.
I can't tell you anything about it. I just know we've got it. We'd have somewhere between 600,000 and 800,000 objects.
Wow.
So, got to let me off. I don't know.
I will let you off. But his paws are massive, and that's kind of crazy that we have this stuff in the collection. It's amazing.
Yeah. And these are the kind of things that, although they don't have research use, if we put that out on display now, there would be people in the community that go, I remember when that was on display at Royal Park in 1979.
Yep.
It's a real link to the past. You heard we've got a butterfly collection donated to us? $3 million collection of 12,000 butterflies.
It's amazing.
And so these are the kind of things that we've been...
Gorgeous.
Yeah. And
look at the colours.
It's such beautiful iridescence. And, butterflies from Hobart through to the Torres Strait Islands, collected over 50 years. Yeah. It's a really important snapshot of biodiversity, and it'll only become more important as the climate continues to change. Okay, they're just boring little brown ones, but they're pinned perfectly. Every block represents a species. They've even pinned them upside down, so none of them have to be touched to be studied.
That's gorgeous.
I love it.
Have you found since having the collection that anyone has come down to say, hey, I'm researching this and you've got an incredible collection?
No, not yet, because...
They will though.
Yes. No, the word is getting out that we've got it.
That's amazing.
But we have to register all of these. Yep. And in fact, there was a paper come out about butterfly extinctions because of climate change. Yep. And some of the species they were talking about, they only had 10 or a dozen specimens in the paper. The rest of it's in here, but the world doesn't know about it yet. So it's important that we register it, get it onto ALA.
So what is registering? So you'd have to go through the process we just saw before for every one of these?
Not the photography process, but we have to enter the who, what, when and where. So its scientific name, collection location, who collected it, date of collection. That's the basic data. And you might have some information about the habitat and all of that gets put into our database. Okay. And we've got a really good process where we can smash out a couple of hundred registrations in a day.
That's amazing.
So in a year,
that's a lot.
We've set ourselves a target of 5,000 registrations a year.
That's incredible.
And yeah, we enjoy it too, because it's like the end of the process. We do a lot of field work through the year, and it doesn't mean anything unless people know that we've got these specimens. What about cockroaches? You like cockroaches?
Yeah, look, show me a cockroach. They creep me out, but food anyway.
Yeah, we need these things.
So what's the process of donating, David? Like, how do people get in contact? If they say someone has an incredible collection just sitting at home and they're thinking, I don't know if it's relevant for QVMAG, but how do you go through and pick the things that are going to be best for the collection?
That's really hard. There's, see, we can't take everything.
Yeah, of course.
If somebody turned up with a collection of elephants, might be a little bit hard to house.
Of course.
If they had all of their collection data and location data, we might think about
it.
But so it comes down to the quality of the collection in its own physical quality, but also its representativeness of a group or taxa, the rarity. I mean, if you know, for instance, egg collections are not rare. We get donated or offered donations, but we just can't simply take them. But we up till recently, we've been taking individual roadkill animals, because that's the only way we can grow that mammal collection. And if it's not too messy, like, you know, if you're going to throw it in the boot of your car, we'll take it if you're willing to. But even that's had to come to a stop at the moment, because we're pretty full. We're a bit tight on labour.
Absolutely.
But people will make contact through our public inquiries and say, hey, got this really weird spider. And if it is very cool and they haven't let it go, we may ask to have it in the collection.
Pretty cool.
So let's grab a cockroach.
All right.
I'll show you these ones here. These ones are from our central plateau. And they're normally really hard to catch, because they're in amongst what they call kerosene bush. You might see one a year. But we had fires a few years ago up there, and it totally decimated the habitat. And so we were able to shoot up there and go around looking under rocks and such, and that's where these guys were surviving. In fact, we were surprised at what survived the bushfires.
So they can survive a lot, though, from what I hear.
Oh well, if there's a nuclear war, these and draft board sharks will survive. They're hard to kill. But so these were, even though they're well known to us in the science fraternity, they didn't have a name till recently.
Really?
And some of these specimens were part of a study which identified them to a species, and now they're named after the Great Lake, the traditional name, which is it Yingina? Yangani, I should know. Yingina, I think it is. But yeah, you need to find a taxonomist that's going to work on these things. And so there's a lady in Hobart that decided she's going to work on cockroaches.
Amazing, there you go.
But if you wanted to have a species named after you, cockroaches are easy.
Really? Okay,
oh,
so
there's so many. Nobody else wants to play with cockroaches. That's the Tasmanian giant lobster, but that's only a baby.
A baby?
That's only a baby. It could be 40 years old though, but they were reported to get to 4 foot long.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
This is just a small part of our geology. We might have to go elsewhere, but I thought I'd show you some of the petrified wood. So
how old is something like this?
Well, this is the thing. I don't know. I'm not a geologist, but for me, you know, if you're going to look at rocks can be boring. They're just rocks. But that was a living thing once.
Yeah, that's it. Absolutely.
And then something like that where you can actually see the growth rings in it, so you'll be able to age it.
That's crazy.
Or this one here, which I can't... Oh,
wow.
That, hang on, that's the ugly side. It's
Wow.
opalised. So there's Place Loon River where you find a lot of this petrified wood, and it's a lot of it comes out opalised. Here you go. Have you held this?
No.
All right.
Goodness. Oh, that's heavy. Oh my goodness.
Because it is
I need to go to the gym.
starts with M and ends in meteorite.
Meteorite.
It's a meteorite.
I'm so surprised by that. That's insane. I'm holding a meteorite.
So again,
goodness.
must be bloody old, but I wouldn't know how old.
Oh my god.
But it's really dense iron.
Yeah. That is so heavy.
That's the light one.
Oh my God.
And they're unbreakable. There's a 25 kilo one as well.
Oh my God.
Yeah. You'd be familiar, because you spend all your time in the museum, with Zygomaturus, our giant wombat.
Oh yes, the one at Inverest.
Yes, so this is the original bones that were dug out of the swamp.
Oh.
And so you can see his nose.
Big tooth.
Yeah, he's a herbivore, but they still have those large teeth.
Oh wow.
So this guy is about 40,000 years old.
No.
Yeah, and so they were, they would have been, because of the size of them being herbivores, they would have been eating a lot of grasses, keeping places like the Midlands mown down. And
look at that nose. Oh my God.
Just a few bits in here, and we rely on external researchers to tell us a lot about our collections, and we had boxes, just like shoe boxes, full of Tasmanian emu bones. And this guy came in and wrote up our collection, and so we published these things called records, and he's gone through, photographed, identified, written up all of the provenance of each one. And so now we have a significance statement of that collection, and that allows us to get funds to better house it.
Yes.
No shoe boxes. And so now we've got this kind of thing.
Oh wow.
So
look at the absolutely dainty handwriting on here. Wow.
Yeah, beautiful. And so what he found in here was bones that date to around 40,000 years, earlier, and coming right through to 15,000 years. So that means, I mean, the first humans walked into Tasmania around 43,000 years ago.
Oh my goodness.
There's somewhere in here, we might stumble across it, but there's eggshell fragments from Flinders Island.
Yeah.
Not there. The eggshell fragments, the only evidence of the emu species being in the Ferno group, and they're the ones that are dated to 15,000 years. So that's reasonably recent. This species lived in Tassie till about 1855. So there's a perfect example of ethanol evaporation.
Yeah, okay.
So we need to top these up. But these spiders have come out of pitfall material. So pitfall is like a cup of liquid buried in the ground, and whatever walks around at night might fall into it.
Ooh.
And then we get it. And these pitfall traps are like time capsules of biodiversity.
Okay. Yeah.
And so one science week I sat with the microscope and I just started going through these things, and we found these really cool spiders. We've got thousands upon thousands of these capsules. When you see them in the field, they seem so much bigger, like it's going to eat your face.
Really?
But this is a new species of Tasmanian Funnelweb. We've always known we've had one or two species in Tassie. One's very common right through the state. Another one's only known from 3 specimens from the Cascades in Hobart, found over 100 years ago. But this guy, or girl, this girl, is from up Wellborough way, and we're waiting for this to get the right name. Do you want to?
Ooh, why are their backs so big, David?
Their abdomens. She's a gravid female. She'll lay eggs, and her abdomen won't be as big then. Okay. We recently got a different species in the field where we had gravid females, and then ones that had laid their eggs, and the babies cling to her back. And so her abdomen's much smaller, but she's covered in baby spiders.
Oh. So what does the word gravid mean?
Oh, she's effectively pregnant.
Okay.
And depending on her age, her size, she could be carrying 10 or 100 babies, depending on the species.
Okay. So do we get much interest from the commercial sector in the museums, in our collections?
Yes. DNA is hot property, and to date it's mainly been the museum sector that and universities that deal with studying DNA.
Absolutely.
But now there's commercial interest. It's effectively what we call bioprospecting. They're looking for chemicals that could be turned into pharmaceuticals.
Absolutely.
So we've talked about funnelweb venom.
Yeah.
We had a lady from Canberra, from CSIRO, studying weird wasps.
Okay.
Again, venom opportunities there. And even we know companies have paid to go trawling sponges in Bass Strait because sponges, some of them, they just ooze slime and you react to it. So there could be something in that kind of sponge that could be turned into a pharmaceutical. So yeah, bioprospecting from the commercial sector.
Okay. Quite
But
large
what
thing.
we need to do as an institute is make sure that those opportunities, our community, the owner of these collections, they can benefit from
Absolutely.
it. There's a lot of work to be done just around DNA, and most of it up to date has been by government agencies, but there's now commercial interests out there that want our DNA. And the museum sector has decided that we have to play this game as a group, otherwise smaller institutes like us could be missing out on opportunities. I mean, we don't own, the community owns the DNA there. They've paid handsomely to get it onto a shelf, and so they should get a return. If there's a cure for cancer, they should have a cut of it.
The burning question is, do you think it's ever going to be possible to recreate dinosaurs, thylacines, animals from the DNA that we have at the moment?
It's quite possible.
Possible.
That so there's been talk about the thylacine being brought back to life.
Okay.
But my question would be, for what purpose?
Exactly.
I mean, you could bring back one like Dolly the sheep, say, and it's like, hey, freak show, look at this, sideshow. But for thylacines to be let go wild in Tasmania, you would need a population of maybe 500 to 700 to maintain of genetic diversity, and they'd have to have free reign. I don't know that we're mature enough as a community to have top order carnivores rewild it.
Exactly.
Right.
And then I suppose when you look at something like that from, your stance on everything, what are the ethical implications of that too? Like bringing these animals back into the mix at the moment, there's a lot of considerations.
Yeah, I think we're not mature enough to make the decisions yet. The technology's not there yet, but then you've got all of these other questions. Are we just doing it Frankenstein style, or are we doing it for some ecological purpose?
Absolutely.
Yeah, about 10 years ago there was a lot of interest in things like bringing back the thylacine, even just thylacine sightings by public. But it's really died off lately.
Now, what were your thoughts on the most recent thylacine sighting? There was a guy, surely in Tasmania, who said that he swears he saw a thylacine and they're still alive, and it was printed in the Mercury, it went everywhere. Do you think they're out there?
I don't follow it.
Don't follow it?
They're not there. They died out. Simple as that. They're gone. To be frank, people are delusional if they think they're seeing them, because they cannot possibly be out there. There's so many reasons. I mean, they're not hidden in the... You started this.
I did start this.
They're not in the southwest. That is not prime habitat. They lived in the Midlands, for instance, or the northeast. And if they were still there, we would see them.
Absolutely.
And again, each year there's around 293,000 animals roadkill every year. Not one of them's a thylacine.
Exactly. So to wrap it up, after our fabulous session today, why are museums still so relevant?
Museums aren't just about the exhibitions that come and go. The heart and soul of any museum is its collections. And so it's important that people like myself and the team look after the collections that we've inherited, but it's also important that we grow those collections for future generations. So really, for us that work mostly behind the scenes, it's about making sure that collection lasts and remains important to future generations.
Absolutely. Well, we've got an amazing collection, so thank you for taking us through today. It was awesome.
Thank you.
All right, perfect.